Welcome to the Sexual Wellness Podcast, real-life conversations with industry experts on modern sexuality and how to live a happy, healthy, turned-on life. I'm your host, Laura Allen, a holistic sex, love, and life coach, passionately guiding women to expand their pleasure in and outside the bedroom. Welcome back, everyone, to the Sexual Wellness Podcast. Such a pleasure to have you here. And speaking of pleasure, I have a special guest on the show today. Her name is Asti Maree. She's based in Sydney, and I'm so grateful that we connected because this episode is dripping with wisdom and insight into how you can create a pleasure-based lifestyle for yourself, not just at home and in your relationships, but in your work, in your entire life. We also talk about how to raise your sense of worth in the world, how to heal some of those subconscious blocks that keep you in fear, that keep you feeling small, that keep you feeling like you don't deserve to go after and receive the things that you are truly desiring. We also go into how to assert healthy boundaries with ease and grace so that you can start to attract the love and the sex that you are truly longing for. Enjoy the show. Let's do this. Welcome, Goddess. I'm so happy to be having this conversation with you. I've seen you on social media many times and connected with your content and purely just seen in you what I see in myself and have always felt like our paths would cross in a beautiful way at some point. So I'm really happy to be collaborating and bringing some juicy content to our audiences.
I'm so excited. It's exciting because like you said, it's a collaboration.
Yeah.
It's not one of us asking the other person questions.
Yeah.
And everything that we believe in so much and preach and teach is so in alignment. We're like two peas in a pod. So it's going to flow and it's going to be so good, so juicy.
I feel like I have a bestie coming over for a cup of tea and we're just going to just talk about all of the things that we love in life. So yeah. Okay. Well, to start off, there is something that I really like to ask at the beginning of all of my episodes, and that is, what color are you today and why?
What color? I have to say red. I don't know. Red's my favorite color anyway, but I'm feeling very passionate today. Yeah. I actually messaged a friend this morning. There's been a lot of stuff popping up around me in my world around body confidence stuff and just hearing things that some women are dealing with right now and seeing stuff in the media just about how we have to fit into this cookie cutter model idealistic of what our body should look like. I mean, just this week it's been popping up all around me. So I'm feeling it's almost passion but with anger at the same time. And I haven't felt that for a long time. And I messaged my friend and she asked me how I was feeling today. And I'm like, it's anger, but it's not just anger. It's a divine rage. So it's coming from this really beautiful, loving place. So anger, divine rage, and passion, put that together, I'm seeing red.
Sounds hot. I mean, it sounds really sexy. Divine rage, there's something so good about being able to feel safe in our expression of anger and rage.
Yeah.
And when we get to that place where we can share it and express it and be in it and not have to hide it out of fear.
And own it.
Yeah, and own it. Oh God, it's hot. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing I feel with a lot of emotions is once we get to a point where we can actually own them, work with them, transmute them through our bodies, we can start to access the pleasure aspect of just being in our bodies at all times, feeling everything and not getting bogged down by the label of this emotion is bad, therefore I can't feel it.
Yeah.
And going back to your piece about, feeling frustrated about, having templates of what bodies should look like. It's the same with sex. It's the same with
it comes into
emotion.
everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we're here to talk about pleasure, right? We're talking about pleasure and what is like one of the biggest things that hold us back. It's like it's putting ourselves in these molds.
Yeah.
Of what our bodies should look like. We're having sex with someone who we love, but we're in our mind thinking about what our bodies look like. Instant block to pleasure.
Yeah. Yeah. And coming back to boundaries, I know that's a big piece that we're going to speak about. Like having boundaries is not just like a physical thing of like saying no to like physical things that are going on in your life, but it's an energetic thing of like not taking on other people's limiting beliefs and being able to like hear things from, I don't know, partners, lovers, friends, family, the media, being able to hear certain things and go, actually, that's not my truth. I'm choosing not to take that on and I'm going to stand in my power and that's not my truth. It doesn't feel good to me, so I'm not taking that on to be true.
Yeah.
There's nothing more powerful than that. And like coming back to emotion, I've been like thinking about this more lately. But the more that you can own your emotion and feel comfortable in it, the more that you can receive the gift from it. So a lot of my clients feel uncomfortable in anger, but what I tell them is anger is like the start of any change or transformation, because you need that fuel and that fire that's actually going to give you a kick up the ass to make some change in your life. So if you don't feel like hugely angry or passionate about something, things will just stay the same.
Yeah, totally. And what are some of the ways that you recommend that people can start to harness their anger more in a safe and healthy way?
Oh, I love anger release practices. So, I mean, one of the main things that I do with my clients is practicing. We do like a exercise where we stack up pillows and like feel into the anger that they're holding internally and begin releasing it through breath, through movement, through sound. So they'll do things like screaming into a pillow or hitting the pillows and letting all of that anger out that way. And it's amazing. I mean, like the shift that you feel and like even like 1 or 2 minutes of like punching pillows is amazing. And it doesn't take long for it to go from anger into whatever's laying beneath that. So you might go anger and then sadness, you might cry a little bit. And then you realize that like 3 minutes later, you're laughing again, because it really doesn't take long to move these emotions. It's just that we're being taught to bottle them up and carry them around with us. So we essentially never let them go.
Yes. Amen to that. And like bringing that into I guess like a pleasure sexual context as well. I find the most sacred, fulfilling, like sexual experiences that make me feel, I don't even know, like I've had therapy for 100 years. I'm so deeply connected to my partner.
You're like on a different planet.
Different, like next level sex. Is the experiences where I can go in to my sacred rage. In the experience. I can hit the pillows around my partner's head. I can like wail around. I can cry. I can laugh. I can be a total weird animal. My belly can flop out and sag, like zero cares around what I quote unquote should be looking like in that mold and that template of what sex should look like. Yeah. And allowing ourselves to actually be authentically who we are, because that's all we want as humans. When it comes to relationships, when it comes to love, we just want to be seen for who we are and accepted in that way.
And seen in like every aspect of ourselves. But I think sex is the hardest place to show up as your true self, because we all learn that sex is meant to be pleasurable and high vibe. Like every sex scene in a movie, porn, it's all like that type of sex. You never see someone getting angry or crying. The first time I cried in front of my boyfriend during sex, he was like, what's going on? What have I done? Are you okay? Like he panicked. He had never seen that before.
Yeah, totally. and this is the thing. It's like a two-way street. And so it's like working together towards, taking off those masks, releasing that fear of showing up as our most authentic self, and then also stepping onto the other side of the street and receiving that person being that way with you and letting them be in that space, holding them, validating them, not fixing them, not changing them, not doing them, but actually just holding
just being
in that
there.
space. Yeah, just being there. It's very minimal effort required.
Yeah. Just holding space.
Yeah.
But I have noticed it's like the more that you can accept yourself in every aspect of yourself, the more anyone around you can accept that. So if you kind of feel like you're not quite sure about this certain part of yourself, then that's going to be reflected in the way that your partner receives it. So it always starts with you.
So true. So true. And that
what color are you today?
Oh, great question. You know, I'm like a very pale blue, almost like a gray, pale, cloudy blue. I feel like I am a very soft, quiet lake that's reflecting a gray day off its waters. Glimmer.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it's just a very clam. It's a very calm and content place to be. Yeah.
It's funny, as soon as you said light blue, I felt my whole body go, ah.
I seem to have that effect on people a lot.
Yeah.
You should meet my
It's
dog.
great.
He's so chilled out. I think it's because like my color is constantly like a light blue and we just float around. Yeah.
I resonate with that. Like that's one thing that my partner says to me. Obviously, like working for myself from home, but like running a really successful business at the same time. Sometimes he gets annoyed because he's like, you make all this money and you're so successful, but like, what do you do all day? You're just like, I'll float over here. I'll float over here. Or maybe I'll do this. And then your day's over.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, but what's wrong with that? Like, that's how I choose to live my life. So it is what it is.
Amen. And I feel
it gets to be easy.
It gets to be easy. It gets to be easy. It gets to be pleasurable. I think that like actually one of the points that I wanted to bring up in this, because I know that you and I both work with a lot of high achieving, you know, women who are just like really running around a lot.
Yeah. Like high, and they're masculine.
High masculine energy. Yeah, exactly. And so I definitely resonate with that living and receiving in femininity and like running a very successful business and actually not needing to do that much to do it and bringing pleasure into it. So before I started doing this, I was working in corporate and like financial technology. So conservative, corporate, you know, the whole shebang. But this is the thing. Just because we're in those spaces, just because we want to have the money, the success, play big games in the world, doesn't mean that we need to sacrifice our feminine essence to get there or to enjoy ourselves while we're doing it.
Exactly. When you prioritize pleasure, I mean, like you probably totally get this with your background, but I myself felt that for a long period of time, I was trying to achieve and do all of these things so that I could like get to this ideal place that I was trying to get. And then once I got there, I would treat myself and allow myself to experience pleasure. But as I've like slowly begun to reverse that, now I start in pleasure, do the things that fill me up. I start my day in pleasure so that pleasure flows into my work. And instead of like trying to hustle and grind your way to this place that you're never going to reach, you become a magnet for all of those things and you just live your life in pleasure. And instead of going out to get your success and to achieve, you receive that. It comes to you. And once you figure that out, there's no other way to do it. Like it's so beautiful.
There's no other way to do it.
And that's the feminine power.
Yeah.
We get to take advantage of that.
Yeah. And I like, it sounds ethereal if you haven't yet tapped into it, and it can be really scary. And for anyone listening who has a job, it doesn't mean that you need to quit your corporate job, find a fairy dress and, you know, like go and like live in your feminine. Like that's not at all again, there is no template for this. You can be the CEO of, you know, a multi-million dollar company and, you know, be highly productive and you can still do it in a way that is deeply aligned with your feminine essence. You don't have to be a man in the workplace to be successful, respected, and get as much done. And this is what the workforce is catching up with. You know, it's also like catching up with things like 4-day work weeks and understanding that human beings are not robots and we actually work better, and like these, you know, like having freedom, like lockdown has really opened a lot of people's eyes to the fact that actually if I go for a walk at midday on my lunch break, I feel so much better, and little things like that. So the question really is like, how can you bring more pleasure into your day? So it's pleasure first, exactly what you're saying. Create from your pleasure. Build your life around the things that turn you on and light you up. And that comes down to how you spend your time on your lunch break. If you're not a smoker, go and take 5 minutes anyway. Go on a smoko break and go for a walk around the garden.
Just breathe some fresh air. Move your body.
Move your body. Move your body. Move your body. The feminine needs to be moving. And that's not in a chaotic, indecisive way. That is in a purposeful, directional, aligned way, an intuitive way, an unblocked way. And if we're sitting down at our desks, we're not moving, we're not self-pleasuring, we're not in our own state of pleasure, then we're blocked. We're blocked to receiving the abundance. We're blocked to having those fulfilling experiences in our relationships, not just with our romantic relationships, but all of our friendships and la, 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 la. And we go into this place of trying as opposed to like trying and chasing as opposed to being and receiving.
Exactly. I mean, like when you like I get into this funk still sometimes, that when you sit at your desk all day long, because your body's stagnant, your energy becomes stagnant, your work becomes stagnant, your thoughts, your creativity, everything becomes stagnant and lifeless.
Yeah.
So it's just about getting up, moving your body, shaking things up, and then coming back and you'll have a fresh view on everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah, fresh energy.
Yeah. I mean, it's like there's no point in me going to a co-working office space because I'll be there for an hour and then I'm gone. I'm in a new space. Like a really productive work day for me is, you know, I'm normally in around 3 different environments, and when I'm on calls, when I'm, you know, catching up with clients on WhatsApp or whatever, I'm normally walking and like out in movement in nature, like really tapping into that flow. I like to use like a visualization of the feminine being this river, you know, within us that just like flows and runs, and it's just this beautiful river that goes on this journey. And you've got the masculine banks, you know, it's our own inner masculine that keeps the river together. You know, we don't have weak banks that are just like making our water sprawl around everywhere. Yeah. It's just,
I love that analogy. That's really beautiful.
It's a good one. Hey, it's a really nice way to visualize those two energies coming together. So your masculine is there to really contain you so that you can flow with ease and pleasure.
So juicy. So what made you give up your corporate job and do what you're doing now? What was that process like?
I just knew that the time had come. I mean, I've been intuitive for a long time. I knew that this was my purpose. I had run businesses before when I was living in Europe, so I already had a strong entrepreneurial muscle. I took the job because I needed a break, and I simply just wanted a salary for a little while I was upskilling myself and making sure that I was in a place where I felt really ready to launch what I was doing now. And then the time just came. So for me, it was my entrepreneurial journey's been going now for nearly a decade.
Yeah, wow.
But then this particular business I've been doing for a year. So I'm lucky in that sense where I have experience.
Only a year? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well done. That's so inspiring.
Yeah, thanks, girl. Thanks. Yeah. And you've got a book coming out. You are a huge expander for me in that sense, because a book is one of those things that I'm like, oh, you know, I'm playing with the idea. So I want to hear more about that experience for you and what, you know, like the pleasure codes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like just listening to everything that you've shared now, I'm like, you could definitely write a book.
Yeah.
So many nuggets of wisdom. And I kind of thought the same thing. I was like, I kind of thought of writing a book was like, I'm not going to like, I'm still celebrating it because it's still like, still super proud of myself. But I thought of writing a book was one of these big things that I'd never achieve. And it kind of just happened. Like, I don't even remember sitting down and going, I'm going to write a book. I just started writing. And then it kind of just got longer and longer and longer. I kind of thought maybe it would just be an ebook. And then it got longer and I was like, oh, I'm going to print this. And it just kind of happened. So it's like feminine flow. Like, I didn't even make the decision. It just kind of poured out of me and all came together. But now that I look at it, I'm like, oh, anyone can write a book. So it really was quite easy because I followed pleasure.
That's it. That is it. It's following pleasure and it's trusting. Sounds like your trust muscle is super strong as well. Trusting that even if things don't make sense right now, if you've got the intuitive calling to do it, even if you don't know that it's going to turn into a book, and what opportunities that'll bring down the track, just do the thing. Just take the step. A lot of the time we're in personal development, self-inquiry, all of this stuff, trying to heal our wounds, heal our shadows, blah, blah, blah. When at the end of the day, actually, you know, it's really simple. You've just got to do the thing.
Yeah, I know. Even when it came to like ordering the books, I was going through this company and they said, I think if you order 500, you get a discount, or it was either that or the minimum order was 500. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to order 500 books. They arrive at my house. My boyfriend's like, are you going to be able to sell those? I'm like, yeah.
What?
Well, honey, I have to now. I've got them, don't I? I'm trusting.
Am I going to be able to sell them? Watch me. Watch me, motherfucker. Oh, my God.
It's already done.
I've already sold them. Like,
yeah.
I love that.
So they are going on sale soon within the next couple of weeks. I'm dying to get them out because it's just like, I feel like women are going to receive so much from reading it. I mean, the whole book is pretty much what we've been talking about pleasure, more focused on sexual pleasure and orgasm. So it's 33 powerful tips to heighten and enhance your orgasmic potential.
Juicy.
So juicy. So it's about pleasure and it was written in pleasure. So it's just, it feels good.
I can't wait to receive my signed copy.
Yeah,
that would be so great. Yeah. See, when I think about writing a book, I'm like, okay, so what would feel pleasurable for me? Because I don't enjoy writing long form that much. I like short form, not long form. So how I envision my book being written is, you know, me lying on a couch in the sun in summer, sunbathing with like feathers and grapes and chocolate.
Oh my God.
And then someone writing it for me as I talk.
Oh my gosh, that is so sexy.
I want to manifest that.
I think you should even record it and put it on YouTube because I think I'd like to watch the video version of that.
Okay, that's a good idea. Maybe that's how my book is going to come into fruition. Yeah.
That is hot. I love that.
That's my vision. Yeah, so that's my vision.
You have to do it now.
Process. Yeah, I have to do it now. I've said it out loud. Gosh. Yeah. And I was just absolutely adoring what you were saying earlier about boundaries as well, because boundaries are such a big piece when it comes to pleasure, and how you were talking about it being so much more than saying yes or no in the physical realm. The real work when it comes to boundaries is actually your energetic worth.
Oh, totally.
And it's all energy. Like humans, we are all energy. And I'm sorry if that sounds woo-woo to some of my listeners, but it's simply just so true. It's like our subconscious minds are speaking to each other and we don't even consciously know what is going on. This is why people get in the same repetitive dynamic with partners, or they keep attracting the same person and so on and so forth. It's, you know, it's like you can say, no, I don't want to sleep with you at 3 a.m. when you text me after you've been out with the boys. But
if you're holding that energetically, you don't even need to say it because they just like pick up on that vibe and don't even try
message
it with
you. They wouldn't even be in your life. Like you wouldn't even be in the situation. So it's like until you energetically uphold and embody that worth in the world of like, no, I'm not doing this fuckboy thing anymore. This is how I want to be treated, period. It's like, you know, it's done.
You don't have to deal with that shit. Yeah.
They just won't even come to you.
And I feel like every time when you upgrade, like the energy that always comes to mind to me is respect. But so many women are missing out on that level of respect because they're more worried about being liked.
Yes.
So they'll say yes in fear of not losing the love or acceptance from other people. But when you do that and you are craving being accepted and being liked by other people, you're not being respected. But if you like, even we can do it right now, if you feel into like what it feels like in your body to feel liked compared to being respected. Like even when I say the words, there's like a shift there. And respected just feels so much more powerful. Like the queen always comes to mind, like the queen archetype of being respected. Like that's the embodiment.
Ooh, mic drop. I love that point. Yes.
So don't worry about being liked. You want to be respected. That's where the power is.
Boom. Girl, I'm just going to write that down.
You can use that one.
Chapter number 1 in my book.
So you're focusing a lot on boundaries in your work right now, aren't you?
Yeah, boundaries is massive for me. It's also, it's like, well, you know how it is in life. I feel like it's naive to think that we ever completely heal a wound and it goes away.
Yeah.
I mean, we're circular, we're cyclic beings. The same things always come back. We never go backwards. We only go deeper. And so boundaries has come full circle back into my life where I've had to re-embody, reintegrate and go deeper into my own sense of worth in, my intimate relationships and in work as well, the whole shebang. So I wanted to share all of the codes and the transmissions that I was getting because it's been so powerful. And the thing is with boundaries is the more you embody them and what happens is the more you embody boundaries that are in alignment with who you are and what you value, that raises your self-worth and how you feel about yourself, and therefore you become more magnetic to the things that you actually want in life. Yeah.
So it's not about getting the things and then feeling more worthy. It's about tapping into worthiness and the things come to you.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. And so it's the same with pleasure. I mean, it's all the same. And being in your sense of worth in the world and tapping into that energy of self-respect and demanding respect from others, not necessarily people pleasing, being selfless and, needing validation. You sort of go into this place of becoming, like I said before, magnetic to what it is that you actually want in life. And it's so damn good. There is nothing more pleasurable in life than saying no to shit that no longer aligns with you. There's nothing more pleasurable in life than living in a way that asserts to yourself, to the universe, and to the energy and subconscious brains of everyone in your community and in your field that this is what I'm worthy of. This is what I deserve. This is what I desire in life.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love all of that.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be really scary, like saying no to something that doesn't serve you if you're not fully trusting in the universe and trusting that something better is going to come and replace it. So, I mean, trust is a really huge aspect there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why, because I've got so much free content at the moment about boundaries, but I've created a course.
Amazing. Yes. Yeah. Tell us about the course.
Yeah, well, I've created a course for exactly this purpose because, we all need hand-holding. I need hand-holding.
Yeah.
I still need people to physically take me step by step through all of the contraction that happens after you set a boundary. It's you're following your intuition. You know that there's a no coming up, or that there's an opportunity for you to become more flexible and perhaps a rigid boundary that you've been holding. You're following the intuition. You're feeling good. You know it's right. You set the boundary and then contraction. Guilt, all of that old patterning.
And then you can sometimes go back, you set the boundary, say no, and then that could turn into a yes if you're not fully trusting in it.
Yeah, exactly. And so, the guilt can come up and we can really regress back exactly what you're saying. And so
it's like you say no to having sex with someone and they can tell that it's not a full no.
Yeah.
Like you're not feeling the energy as you say it, and you're just saying the word, which doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
I feel like they can pick up on that.
Yeah.
And they keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and then you end up having sex with them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what happens is, and so in the course, of course, there's so much more hand holding and tools that you can use to actually like stay within yourself in these experiences, as well as like self-care. You know, it's like when we're learning, example, to set boundaries, sometimes like you've actually just got to put up more rigid walls around you until you're feeling really confident and safe to go out there and be in a situation where if someone is going to rub up and push against your boundaries and continuously knock on them, you're just like, dude, again, you've got that energetic wall and it's like coming up real strong. And I mean, they won't do it because they know that it's a no from you. You don't even need to say it.
But at the beginning, it's like it takes practice.
It takes practice. And the difference is, and you'll know when you've made the shift, is like you can step in to, you know, a situation with someone and you'll feel so empowered in your no. You'll feel
that it feels good. There's no guilt.
It feels good.
Yeah, it feels
and
like
it feels
an upgrade.
Sexy. And you'll start attracting people who can fully receive and respect your no instantly. But you can both also play in that teasing, like playful pushing of boundaries in a consensual, empowered way. Because that's hot. That's hot when you sort of say no to someone, but they're still chasing you and you're sort of like in a very empowered way, you're creating and building tension by saying no, it being received and la, la, la. That's a consent game. That's really sexy. But you can't do that if you are feeling disempowered and coming from that place of fear and guilt. And if you don't say yes, then ... you won't belong. You won't be loved. You won't be liked ...
Yeah. And I mean, like another part of that is you can't really say yes until you can say no.
Yeah.
Because if your answer is always yes, then your true yes is never really real. Yeah. Right? And you don't trust yourself to fully lean in, especially with sex. You don't trust yourself to fully surrender, to fully let go, to fully be seen. If you had this like deep knowing that if it goes down a path that doesn't feel right or feels toxic or isn't serving you, that you can't say no. It's like always on the back of your mind, like you're constantly looking over your shoulder, looking out for danger. Yes. Instead of just like, being fully there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like setting boundaries is a process of respecting yourself and establishing that sense of trust with yourself, and it's important. Self-trust is the foundation of love and relationships and living a turned on life, like knowing that you've got your own back, knowing that you can look after yourself.
Exactly. I was going to say that.
Yeah, it's like
knowing that you're always going to love yourself and accept yourself. So if it does get to a point where you want to say no to somebody else, you're not afraid of losing their love or acceptance because you're like, well, I love and accept myself. So nothing's going to stop me. I'm always going to be full. Yeah.
Trusting in the abundance of the universe. It's like the thing is like when you tap into that queen energy, when you tap into that respect energy rather than like the like energy, people aren't always going to meet you. You need to get really comfortable with the fact that, you know, when you put up a boundary, people are going to fall away.
Yeah.
And you've got to be willing.
It's a reflection of them.
It's a reflection of them, and it's fine. It's not even a judgment. It's not that they're below or above or somewhere else or whatever. It just is what it is. And so you need to be completely willing to let go fully of the things that aren't serving you. You know? And trust.
Amazing.
And trust that it's all going to come back. You know, it's like
and it does every time. I mean, one thing that really helps me is anytime that I am feeling like a little bit nervous and setting a boundary, I look at my past and look at every other time I said no to something that didn't serve me, and then look at what came to take its place. Like if anyone does that looking back, every single time it's just gotten bigger and better.
Yeah.
And has served you more. So, I mean, that's one way that you can learn to trust yourself more is like, if everything in my past has worked out perfectly for me, then of course it's going to play out that way in my future.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Slowly building up that evidence so that you can really rebuild those neural pathways in your brain to realize that actually I can do this. This is affirming this new belief that I am trying to embody.
Yeah. So what's your like number one like way of teaching people to hold boundaries? Do you have like a go-to practice that you take people through?
Yeah, I have one that I share quite frequently, and it's called Boundaries and Belonging. And I love this practice because so often throughout life we learn that
Boundaries and belonging. I love that.
Yeah, it's it's like so often we learn that by setting a boundary, it's actually not safe. We won't be loved. Yeah. We won't be respected. We won't be heard or seen, and this all goes back to childhood. It's all, you don't have to have had like a highly traumatic childhood to, have the symptoms of poor boundaries. Like, we're not taught this in school. It's not taught in society. It's such a part of the human experience. And Boundaries and Belonging is an exercise that you do with a buddy, someone who has earned your trust and vulnerability in the world, someone who supports your growth, someone who supports and loves you no matter where you're at. And so the exercise goes, you're gonna ask your friend to make an outrageous request to you. And what you need to say back after they've made that outrageous request is no. And then they are going to say, oh, thank you for looking after yourself. They're going to love and respect and hear and celebrate your no. And so in the beginning, that request can be like, can I have $1 million? Will you come over tonight and, cut my toenails? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I mean, maybe some people are into that. Like, whatever, just like any kind of outrageous request so that it's easy for you to say no to. And by your friend affirming to you that that's totally fine. No worries, babe. Sweet. I love you. I'll see you next time. That feeling there is helping you to learn or to relearn that actually it is safe for me to set a boundary, and I'm still loved. I'm still heard. I'm completely respected in my autonomy here, and I still belong. And
I love that.
Yeah, and over time, make the requests a little bit more challenging to say no to.
Yeah.
And over time, as you get more comfortable in your no, you can start to practice with different language. You can start to not use justification and, go into over explanation, but, simply make your no a little bit softer in a way that feels in alignment for you.
I love that because I feel like there's nothing more powerful than being able to set a boundary in a way that's not like, if you don't have to get angry, right, to set the boundary, and instead just like staying really calm, staying really soft, staying in your light blue color and just saying no, and then like gracefully walking away. Like, it can be like a really graceful experience. It doesn't have to be you on edge and you getting triggered and you yelling and like bitching at people. It can be like a beautiful experience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's practice, and it's getting support, and it's practicing with your friends, and it's learning, and it's making the mess, and it's making the mistakes. Like, no one is perfect. I don't know about you, but it's taken me years, and as I said, I'm still learning how to, get better and better at it. It's a process. Sure. It's definitely a process. And over time, that exercise is really beautiful to swap as well, because a big piece about boundaries is not setting them, but also receiving other people's boundaries with ease and grace.
Yeah. And not taking it personally.
Yeah. So it's a two-way street. And we could talk about it forever, but in essence, that exercise is there, and it's great to do like role reversal and that. And it's just a really beautiful tool to start to really pump and exercise that boundaries muscle so that you can approach them with ease and grace. And so that when you walk out the door in the morning, you can be in your femininity, you can be turned on, you can be like, wearing your favorite dress, your sexy lingerie. You can be like in your fullest expression of your most authentic self, whatever that looks like for you. And you know that you're safe. You know that you're not going to get the wrong attention. You know that you're not going to be disrespected by other people because of bloody blah. You're not going to have anyone trample over you. You're not going to have anyone. You're not going to like, none of that stuff will even come into your field because you are boundaried, you're safe, and you're free.
Yeah. Yeah. And doing that game, I mean, like if you just continue practicing no, 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 then it happens in real life and it just kind of flows on and you're just like, no, it feels like you're still in the game.
Yeah.
Because you trained your mind that many times that it's safe to say no. So you don't even have to question it. It just comes out naturally.
Absolutely.
In the real world.
Yeah, totally. And it's because you started to rewire it in your subconscious. You know, it's like actually deeply ingrained within you now. So
I mean, I do something similar with my clients and I get them to even like you can do this just with an example as like you were just explaining, but you can also go back into your past and revisit times in your life where you wish you'd set a boundary but you didn't, and you can place yourself back in that moment and visualize what happened, and then visualize yourself setting the boundary like you wish you would have. And it almost allows you to like go back in time and rewrite your past. And even with things that happen over and over again, like maybe you find it hard saying no to sex, you can close your eyes and visualize it like 3, 4, 5 times, you being in a scenario where you're saying no to sex, and then visualizing the ideal outcome that you want from that person. So visualize them being like, that's okay, babe. Like, I totally get it. And I love you, and like giving you a big hug and showing you still that you're loved and accepted. And the more that you visualize that, I mean, coming back to law of attraction, the more that you visualize something to be reality, the more you just trick yourself into believing that is the truth. And once it's happened that many times, there's no reason why it can't happen again. Yeah. So you feel safe in the future to set boundaries. Yeah.
Absolutely. So epic. And like what you're doing there is the most beautiful. It's like inner child healing. Like that's like deep core wound stuff. Like that is the root cause of why you fear to set boundaries now. So going back and actually rewriting your story when it comes to setting boundaries is so healing. Like I can imagine how cathartic and powerful and transformative that would be for the people who are doing that kind of work with you. And it's just, it's really is game changing. It's so beautiful. I love this stuff. That's why sexuality is so fascinating, because it's so much more than just sex. So
I know, well, boundaries come into everything.
Yeah.
And I always say, like, one thing that I always say is how you show up in sex is how you show up in life. Like boundaries. Yes, you need good boundaries to have amazing sex and amazing orgasms, but you need boundaries in life to get to where you want to be. And the same as like surrender. We already spoke about being able to surrender to receive. The more you can surrender in sex, the better your orgasms are going to be. The more you can surrender in life, the more all of your dreams and visions are going to find you. So it's the way you show up in sex is how you show up in life, and vice versa.
Absolutely. I've got a really juicy question for you.
Yeah.
How do you bring more pleasure into your life?
So many ways. I'm like, where do I start? Well, I guess the obvious one is self-pleasure and having lots of orgasms. But then there's little things like we already spoke about dancing. Like I love putting on music and moving my body and dancing. And I mean, I use dance on so many different levels, like to release if I'm feeling a little bit funky, to like move my body and shake off all of that heavy energy. I also use it for like manifestation and abundance, picturing in my mind what I'm trying to call in, embodying that, and then like dancing to celebrate it. Even like having a shower is something that is quite ritualistic for me now. As you spoke about the feminine being a river, because water is very feminine. So as soon as you touch water or are in water, the like flowiness of the water kind of supports you tapping more into your feminine. So that's another really big one for me too.
Yes. So delicious. And what's one?
I mean, it can really be that simple. I mean, I say to people, I'm like, just get up and dance. And like, it is that simple. Like you can shift your energy so quickly.
Yeah, it's true. And what would you say to someone who's listening who is feeling numb, shut down, completely disconnected from pleasure in their life? Like where would you recommend they start?
So a few of my clients are like this, where I tell them to dance and they just feel completely shut down and like it just feels really uncomfortable for them. So that's like taking it a little bit too far. So baby steps, like moving in that direction in terms of coming back to your pleasure and to your body. You can start just doing meditation. So sitting in stillness and bringing your awareness from your mind. I mean, you can do it just into your body or into your heart space, into your pussy, and focusing all of your awareness in your body and just breathing. And naturally coming out of your head, out of your masculine, you leave all the limiting beliefs, the self-doubts, all of the conditioning, and you come back to you. And when you come back to you, you essentially come back to pleasure, because that's our natural way of showing up and being.
I feel like we could do a whole episode on meditation. I honestly feel like meditation is the best sex toy available. And
yeah,
I feel like, you know, meditation's in more ways than one. A lot of my clients have suffered from PTSD and, you know, have a lot of trauma in their lives. And so for them, sitting down on a cushion and like clearing their mind is actually, it's impossible for them. And so I really like to work with alternative ways of meditating and like, you know, using breath, sound and movement, those more embodied approaches to meditation to sort of help women get back into their bodies. Yeah. If you're intrigued about meditation, if you're listening to this, definitely, I'm sure Asti, you've got like so many meditations as well. I've got a pack called Juicy. And it's like, and it's juicy, girl.
Yeah, I'm already sold by the name.
I just like, even I do these meditations, which I mean, like, of course I would do my own meditations, but every time I do one, I'm just like, stop. They're so amazing. They're all pleasure-based. I'll send them to you. Like, they're really
amazing.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. As you said, meditation really helps your sex life. And like, I really combine like the two together. I do lots of meditations where I guide women how to use sex toys and like yoni eggs and movement and dance and self-pleasure with the meditation. So if you bring meditation like tools and practices and techniques and combine that with sex, amazing.
Oh my God, bless. I'm getting like, I'm going to have the best afternoon. I'm so excited and turned on by what we're talking about. It's so true. Like sex is a meditation.
And I'm like, I want to go now on self-pleasure.
Exactly. Me too. I'm so ignited by what we're talking about. And yeah, I mean, speaking about boundaries, it's like one of the meditations in my pack, and we go into it in depth in my Boundary Safe and Free course, is like mindful penetration. So like really getting into the meditation of your pussy and like really just like understanding at every single inch, like when you've got consent, what feels good, almost like yoni mapping and like a bit of a sort of, I guess, a different way. So
I love that, because I mean, it has to start with you. And so many women will like complain and they're like, oh my God, you always just go straight for my clit. Like, it's so annoying. I'm like, okay, but how do you self-pleasure? And they're like, oh.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. So practicing, like one thing I tell my clients to do is, before you penetrate yourself, and this is probably very similar to the practice you just mentioned, check in with your pussy and ask, like, are you ready to receive the wand? Are you ready to receive my fingers? Are you ready to receive the egg, whatever you're using? And if your body says no, honor that. Like, you don't have to go through with it. Just put the toy to the side, carry on with your meditation, maybe self-pleasure, touching your arms, your legs, your hair, whatever it might be. If it's a yes, obviously go ahead, but it also might be a maybe. So it's about listening into what your body needs. Do you need more time to get turned on? Do you need some oil or lubricant? Do you need to be more surrendered or more relaxed? So really getting to know your body is number one in learning how to set boundaries with yourself. And then, I mean, you can only set boundaries with other people when you can do it with yourself.
Yes.
So that's a beautiful practice.
Yes. Amen. Trust. It's boundaries. It's pleasure. It's all of it. It's all wrapped in. It's all the melting pot of amazingness.
Yeah. Yeah. When does your course start?
At the end of this month. So the 27th of July.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's when my book's going to be out.
Oh my God. Celebration.
Like maybe the same day. I don't know.
Wow.
Like, I've got someone working on the webpage right now. So everything's like it's kind of messy and all over the place, but it's a beautiful mess. It's all coming together.
So cool.
How amazing would that be if it comes out on the same day?
Yeah, so perfect. So I'll make sure that your book and how people can receive it and all of your contact information is on like the links in the blog and on the Spotify and all of the things.
We'll put all of yours down there too. I feel like this is amazing. It's a perfect combination, pleasure and boundaries.
I know. I was like, when you messaged me, I was like, it's a yes. It's a yes. Yeah. So good.
Amazing.
How should we wrap? Normally I just ask my interviewees how do they bring more pleasure into their life, but then that sparked an entire new conversation, and we're like, we're back in it. So
we could talk about this forever. We could just go and go and go and go.
Yeah, but really though, like we really could. I feel lost for words now, but also not lost for words, but feeling like we need to honor time and bring it to a close. I'm so excited for your book to come out. It's such valuable
excited for your
work.
Course.
Yeah, I know. So am I. I'm so excited for the course. I can't wait to hold all these beautiful women who are already in there and more who are coming. It's just, this work is so powerful, and I'm sure you share my sentiment in a sense of just how deeply fulfilling it is to support our sisters in rising and shining and just like stepping into the most epic, beautiful versions of themselves and taking up space, claiming their pleasure and just living their lives, you know? It's so fucking awesome.
And I mean, there's no better time to do it. Like, this is the first time ever that we've had these opportunities as women. So like, it'd be stupid not to take up these opportunities and take advantage of what's available today.
Absolutely. The witch hunts are over. Well, at least they are where we are, not everywhere. But
yeah. Amazing.
Thank you so much. And
thank you.
We will talk again, I'm sure, very soon.
Thank you, gorgeous. Have a wonderful day.
If you enjoyed this episode, hit like and subscribe or share it with someone who you feel could benefit from hearing it too. My mission is to bring healthy sexuality to the mainstream, so be sure to leave your 5-star review on your favorite podcasting app, because that way this content can land in the ears of those who need it the most. If you're looking for more resources on how to live a turned-on life, check out my website at www.laura-allen.com, where you'll find events, coursework, free downloadable workbooks, as well as my coaching packages. And lastly, I want to thank you for taking the time to prioritize yourself in this exquisite way, because when we do, that's when we can really start to show up for the rest of the world. And until next time, thank you so much for listening, and I'll be back with another episode soon.